Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Horizon, watching the stars through the main view screen. The ship moved through space at speeds that would have amazed people from Earth's past, but Jake felt restless. They had been traveling for 3 weeks now, heading toward the edge of known human space. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. Lieutenant Ben Parker sat at the communications station, monitoring signals from distant colonies. Commander Lisa Hayes studied navigation charts at her post. Dr. Alex Turner worked at a science console, reviewing data from their last stop and New Colorado Station. Jake had commanded the Horizon for 5 years. In that time, they had explored 12 new star systems and helped establish 4 new colonies. But this mission felt different. The orders from Colonial Command were simple yet troubling. Investigate the disappearance of 3 human ships beyond the perimeter. The perimeter was not a real line in space. It was an invisible boundary that marked the edge of human expansion. Beyond it lay unexplored regions of the galaxy. Most colonists called it the edge of civilization. Some called it the beginning of the unknown. A soft chime sounded on the bridge. Lisa looked up from her station. "Captain, we're receiving a priority transmission from Admiral Sullivan at Colonial Command." Jake nodded, put her through. The view screen changed to show Admiral Kate Sullivan sitting at her desk on Luna Station. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and her face showed the stress of command. She had been Jake's mentor when he first joined the Colonial Navy 15 years ago. "Captain Morrison," Kate said, "I hope your journey has been smooth. We need to discuss your mission parameters." "Yes, Admiral. We're 2 days out from the perimeter. The crew is ready." Kate's expression grew more serious. "Jake, I need you to understand what you're walking into. The 3 missing ships represent our best people." The cargo freighter New Denver carried a crew of 28. The research ship Aurora had 35 scientists and crew aboard. The military escort vessel Guardian held 42 of our finest officers and enlisted personnel. Jake felt a chill. Over 100 people had vanished without a trace. Any new information about what happened to them? Nothing concrete. Long-range sensors picked up unusual energy readings from several star systems beyond the perimeter. The patterns don't match anything in our databases. No known natural phenomena produced those signatures. Dr. Turner looked up from his console. "Admiral, could we be dealing with alien technology?" Kate paused before answering. "That's what we need you to find out, Doctor. Your expertise in xenobiology makes you essential to this mission. If there are aliens out there, you'll be our best hope of understanding them." The transmission continued for several minutes. Kate explained that panic was beginning to spread through the outer colonies. Trade routes near the perimeter had become dangerous as merchant captains refused to travel close to the boundary. Some colonists were even talking about pulling back to safer systems. "The colonial authority won't accept retreat," Kate said firmly. "Humanity has never run from the unknown. We explore, we learn, we adapt. That's what makes us human." After the transmission ended, Jake called a meeting in the briefing room. The senior staff gathered around a holographic display showing their planned route. The blue dots representing human colonies stopped at an irregular line. Beyond that line, the display showed only empty space marked with question marks. Lisa pointed to their destination. "We'll reach the perimeter in 36 hours. After that, we're in uncharted territory." Ben spoke up from across the table. "Captain, the crew is getting nervous. Word has spread about the missing ships. Some of the younger officers are asking questions." Jake understood their concern. The Horizon carried 43 people, all volunteers who had signed up for exploration duty. They knew the risks, but disappearing completely was different from the usual dangers of space travel. Dr. Turner activated a display showing energy readings from beyond the perimeter. These patterns are fascinating. The energy signatures appear in clusters, always near star systems with planets suitable for life. But they're not constant. They pulse in regular intervals, almost like a heartbeat. Could they be natural? Lisa asked. Possible, but unlikely. The mathematical precision of the pulses suggests intelligent design. Something is generating these signals deliberately. Jake studied the display. 3 star systems showed the strongest energy readings. Coincidentally, those were the same systems where the missing ships had been heading. The New Denver was carrying supplies to establish a mining operation. The Aurora was conducting a geological survey. The Guardian was providing security for both missions. The briefing continued for an hour. They discussed possible scenarios, emergency procedures, and contingency plans. But Jake could see the uncertainty in his officers' faces. They were venturing into complete unknown territory with no idea what they might find. That evening, Jake walked through the ship's corridors. The Horizon was not a large vessel, but it felt like home. The crew quarters, mess hall, and recreation. Areas buzzed with quiet conversation. He stopped to talk with several crew members, trying to gauge their mood. Chief Engineer Ryan Clark was in the engine room, running diagnostics on the ship's systems. "Everything looks good, Captain. We're ready for whatever comes next. How's the crew holding up, Ryan?" The older man paused in his work. "They're scared, but they trust you. Most of them have served under your command before. They know you'll bring them home." Jake hoped Ryan was right. Command carried heavy responsibilities, but leading people into unknown danger was the hardest part of the job. Every decision could mean the difference between life and death for his crew. Later that night, Jake stood alone on the observation deck. Through the transparent aluminum windows, he could see the stars streaming past as the ship traveled through hyperspace. Somewhere out there, over 100 humans were missing. They might be dead, captured, or stranded on some alien world. Next morning brought them closer to the perimeter. Jake called the crew together in the main assembly area. 43 faces looked up at him with expressions of determination mixed with worry. "In 18 hours, we'll cross the perimeter," Jake began. "We're going where no human has returned from. I won't lie to you about the risks. We might face dangers we can't imagine, but we have advantages that serve us well. We're curious, adaptable, and stubborn. We don't give up easily." He looked around the room, meeting the eyes of his crew. 3 ships and their crews are missing. They're counting on us to find them or learn what happened. Beyond that, 8 billion humans across dozens of worlds need to know what lies beyond the edge of our space. That knowledge could determine humanity's future among the stars. The crew listened in silence. These were good people, Jake thought. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and explorers who had volunteered for humanity's most dangerous missions. "We go forward together," Jake concluded. "Whatever we find out there, we face it as a team." Questions? No one spoke. They had made their choice when they joined the Colonial Navy. Now they would see where that choice led them. The Horizon continued toward the perimeter, carrying 43 souls into the unknown darkness beyond human space. The USS Horizon crossed the perimeter at exactly 14:30 ship time. Jake Morrison felt no physical change as they moved into unexplored space, but the psychological impact hit the crew immediately. They were now farther from Earth than any human had ever traveled and returned to tell about it. Lieutenant Ben Parker's voice cut through the bridge tension. "Captain, I'm picking up multiple contacts on long-range sensors. They're not asteroids or natural objects." Jake moved to the sensor station. The display showed several dots moving in formation about 2 million kilometers ahead. "How many contacts, Ben?" 7 ships, sir. They're maintaining a steady course parallel to ours. The design signatures don't match anything in our database. Commander Lisa Hayes looked up from her navigation console. Captain, they've been pacing us since we crossed the perimeter. It's like they were waiting for us. Dr. Turner joined them. At the sensor display, the energy readings are incredible. These ships are generating power levels far beyond our capabilities. And look at their movement patterns. Jake studied the tactical display. The alien ships moved with perfect coordination, changing direction and speed as a single unit. No human fleet could maintain such precise formation without constant communication. Any signs of weapons? Jake asked. Unknown, sir, Ben replied. Their technology is so advanced that I can't distinguish between propulsion, communication, and potential weapon systems. Suddenly, the communications console erupted with activity. Ben's fingers flew over the controls as incoming signals flooded their receivers. Captain, we're being scanned. Multiple energy beams are sweeping our ship. Shields up, Jake ordered. All hands to battle stations. The alert klaxon echoed through the ship as crew members rushed to their posts. Jake had drilled them for this moment, but training could not prepare them for first contact with an alien species. Captain, Ben said, his voice filled with amazement. I'm receiving a transmission. It's in English. The bridge fell silent. Jake felt his heart racing. Put it through. A voice filled the bridge, speaking perfect English with no accent or distortion. Human vessel USS Horizon. This is Coordinator Vex of the Stellar Preservation Council. Please reduce your velocity and prepare to receive our representatives. Jake exchanged glances with his senior staff. Lisa's hand hovered over the weapons console. Dr. Turner was frantically taking readings on his scanner. Ben waited for orders. At the communications station, this is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earth Colonial Navy, Jake replied. We are on a peaceful mission to locate missing human vessels. We request information about their whereabouts. A pause lasted several seconds before Coordinator Vex responded. Captain Morrison, we are aware of your missing vessels and their crews. All are safe and well cared for. However, we must discuss the parameters of human expansion beyond this. Point. Will you accept our representatives aboard your ship? Jake considered his options. The alien ships clearly possessed superior technology. Running was pointless, and fighting would be suicide. But allowing aliens aboard could endanger his crew. We agree to meet, Jake said. 2 representatives only. We'll receive them in our main conference room. Acceptable. Prepare your ship for our arrival. The alien ships changed formation, with one vessel moving closer to the horizon. Jake watched on the view screen as it approached. The ship was unlike anything humans had ever built. Its surface seemed to shift and flow like liquid. Metal, and no visible engines or thrusters, propelled it through space. Captain, Ryan Clark's voice came through the comm system from engineering. They're doing something to our ship. I'm reading energy patterns throughout our hull. What kind of patterns? It's like they're scanning every component, every system, even our life support. They know more about our ship right now than we do. Dr. Turner looked up from his console with wide eyes. Captain, their ship is phasing through our hull. It's occupying the same space as our cargo bay without damaging anything. Jake had seen many strange things during his years in space, but this defied everything he understood about physics. How is that possible? Their technology appears to manipulate space-time itself. They exist partially outside normal reality. 2 figures materialized in the conference room without using any visible transportation method. Jake and his senior staff were already waiting when the aliens appeared. The beings looked humanoid, but clearly non-human. They stood about 2 meters, tall with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They wore no protective suits despite boarding from the vacuum of space. The first alien stepped forward. I am Coordinator Vex. This is my colleague, Analyst Krell. We thank you for agreeing to this meeting. Jake studied the aliens carefully. Their movements seemed too smooth, too perfect. Coordinator Vex, we need to know what happened to our missing ships and crews. Vex's expression remained neutral. They are alive and comfortable, Captain Morrison. We have provided them with environments suited to human needs. They continue their lives without threat or danger. Where are they? Lisa demanded. We want them returned immediately. Analyst Krell spoke for the first time. That is not possible, Commander Hayes. Once a species crosses the perimeter, certain protocols must be followed. Your people are being preserved for their own safety and the safety of the galaxy. Dr. Turner leaned forward. Preserved? What does that mean exactly? Vex activated a device that projected images into the air above the conference table. The hologram showed a lush planet with human-style buildings and infrastructure. People could be seen walking through parks and working in familiar settings. Your missing crews live here, Vex explained. This world provides everything humans require for comfortable existence. They have homes, families, occupations, and recreation. They lack nothing. Jake felt anger building inside him. Accept freedom. You're holding them prisoner. We prefer. The term preservation, Krell said. We have observed galactic civilization for millions of years. When species reach a certain level of technological development and expansion, they inevitably become threats to established order. We prevent this by providing alternative arrangements. Lisa's hand moved toward her sidearm, but Jake caught her eye and shook his head slightly. How many species have you preserved? Vex paused as if accessing information. 437 civilizations have been successfully integrated into our preservation system. Each continues to exist and thrive within parameters designed for their specific needs. The number hit Jake like a physical blow. Over 400 species had been trapped by these aliens, their expansion and development permanently halted. Humanity was just the latest in a long line of civilizations that had been contained. What gives you the right to make these decisions? Dr. Turner asked. Analyst Krell's large eyes focused on him. Experience, Dr. Turner. We have witnessed the collapse of galactic civilization multiple times throughout history. Aggressive expansion by young species inevitably leads to resource conflicts, territorial wars, and eventual destruction. We prevent these tragedies. Jake struggled to control his emotions. And if we refuse your preservation? Vex's expression remained unchanged. Captain Morrison, you have crossed the perimeter with 43 souls aboard your vessel. From our perspective, you have already made the choice. However, we are prepared to offer humanity an opportunity no other species has received. The conference room fell silent. Jake could hear his heart beating as he waited for Vex to continue. We will conduct an evaluation of human potential, Vex explained. 3 tests will determine whether your species possesses the wisdom and restraint necessary for continued galactic expansion. Success means humanity may continue to explore beyond the perimeter. Failure means immediate integration into our preservation system. Lisa spoke through gritted teeth. And if we refuse your tests? Analyst Krell answered. Then preservation becomes mandatory for all human colonies, not just those beyond the perimeter. We have the capability to contain your entire civilization within a matter of days. Jake realized they were facing an impossible situation. The aliens held all the advantages, yet they were offering humanity a chance that no other species had apparently received. It might be their only opportunity to maintain freedom. What kind of tests? Jake asked. Vex stood from the conference table. We will provide details once you accept our offer. However, time is limited. Other human vessels are approaching the perimeter. We must resolve the status of your species before additional complications arise. Jake looked at his senior staff. Fear and determination warred in their faces. They were 43 people carrying the weight of humanity's future on their shoulders. Whatever choice they made would affect 8 billion humans across dozens of worlds. "We accept your tests," Jake said quietly. Coordinator Vex nodded. "Excellent. The evaluation will begin immediately." Coordinator Vex led Jake and his senior staff to a section of the ship that had not existed moments before. The aliens had somehow created an entire complex of rooms within the Horizon structure without damaging the original layout. Dr. Turner tried to take sensor readings, but his instruments showed impossible results. "The first test begins now," Vex announced as they entered a large chamber filled with strange equipment. "Dr. Turner will evaluate humanity's response to advanced technology." In the center of the room sat a device about the size of a briefcase. It glowed with soft blue light and seemed to hum with contained energy. Analyst Krell gestured toward it with one long-fingered hand. "This device can generate unlimited clean energy from quantum fluctuations in space itself," Krell explained. "One unit could power your largest cities forever. The technology could solve every energy problem your species faces." Dr. Turner approached the device carefully. His scientific training warred with his caution about alien technology. "What's the catch? Nothing this powerful comes without consequences." Vex observed silently as Turner examined the device. "There are no harmful side effects, Doctor. The technology is completely safe. However, we are interested in your recommendations for its use." Turner spent an hour studying the device with portable scanners. The energy readings confirmed what the aliens had claimed. This single piece of technology could revolutionize human civilization overnight. "Captain," Turner said finally, "this device could end our dependence on fusion reactors and antimatter plants. We could power entire star systems with clean, renewable energy." "But," Jake prompted, hearing the hesitation in Turner's voice, "but introducing technology this advanced too quickly could destabilize our entire economic and political structure. Trillions of credits invested in current energy systems would become worthless overnight. Entire industries would collapse. The social upheaval could tear apart the colonial union." Analyst Krell recorded Turner's response on a device that seemed to appear and disappear at will. "Interesting. Most species see only the benefits of unlimited power. You consider the broader implications." Turner nodded slowly. "Any technology this revolutionary needs careful introduction. We'd need to phase it in gradually, provide transition support for displaced workers, and ensure fair distribution across all human colonies. Just handing this to one government or corporation would create massive inequality." Vex made notes as Turner spoke. The alien's face revealed nothing about whether the human responses were satisfactory or disappointing. The second test took place in an adjacent chamber that materialized as they walked toward it. Lieutenant Sam Collins found himself face to face with people he recognized from the missing ships. Captain Beth Walker from the Guardian stood with 3 of her officers. Dr. Mark White from the Aurora was there with his research team. Even some crew members from the New Denver were present. "Sam," Captain Walker called out, "how did you get here? Did the whole fleet come after us?" Collins felt relief flooding through him. These people looked healthy and unharmed. "Just the horizon, Mom. We're here to find you and bring you home." Walker's expression became troubled. "Home might not be possible anymore, Sam. These aliens have rules we're still trying to understand." Coordinator Vex explained the second test to the assembled humans. "You must work together to solve a spatial puzzle that requires abandoning individual recognition. For collective success, the solution exists, but only through complete cooperation." The chamber transformed around them into a 3-dimensional maze of light beams and floating platforms. Complex mathematical symbols appeared on translucent walls that shifted position constantly. Collins quickly realized that no single person could understand the entire puzzle. The symbols represent different mathematical concepts, Dr. White explained, but they're written in various human languages and notation systems. We need people who understand Chinese mathematics, Arabic numerals, and even ancient Greek geometry. Captain Walker took charge naturally. Forget ranks and service branches. We're all humans working on the same problem. Sam, you studied engineering at Mars Tech. Can you handle the structural calculations? Collins nodded and moved to a section of the maze where engineering symbols glowed in the air. Around him, other humans tackled different aspects of the puzzle. A cargo specialist from the New Denver worked on logistics patterns while a colonial navy lieutenant figured out navigation coordinates. The solution required them to share information constantly. Personal glory became irrelevant as they pooled their knowledge and skills. Collins found himself learning from people he'd never met, while teaching others about systems he'd mastered years ago. After 2 hours of intense collaboration, the maze began to change. Light beams aligned into perfect geometric patterns. The floating platforms arranged themselves into a stable bridge leading to the chamber's exit. The symbols resolved into a single equation that described the harmony they had achieved. Remarkable, analyst Krell commented as he recorded their success. Most species approach such problems through competition and hierarchy. Humans naturally formed cooperative networks. The third test challenged Commander Lisa Hayes alone. Vex led her to a chamber containing 2 groups of artificial beings that looked like advanced robots. They were engaged in what appeared to be a heated argument over access to energy resources. These are the builders and the makers, Vex explained. Both civilizations require the same rare mineral to power their societies. There is only enough for one group to survive at current consumption levels. You must negotiate a solution. Lisa studied the artificial beings carefully. They communicated through complex light patterns and electronic sounds that her universal translator converted into speech. The builders created massive structures that required enormous energy input. The makers produced intricate devices that needed steady power supplies. Why can't you share the mineral? Lisa asked both groups. The builder representative flashed angry red lights. Sharing reduces efficiency. Our projects require uninterrupted power flow. Division of resources means neither civilization reaches full potential. The maker spokesman glowed blue with frustration. Agreed. Partial allocation dooms both our peoples to mediocrity. One civilization must receive priority access. Lisa spent hours listening to their arguments. Both sides presented logical cases for exclusive resource rights. Both civilizations had achieved remarkable things that benefited the galaxy, but their inability to coexist threatened to destroy everything they had built. You're thinking about this wrong, Lisa finally said. You see the mineral as your only option, but you're both incredibly advanced civilizations. Instead of fighting over limited resources, why not work together to find alternatives? She pulled up technical specifications for both civilizations. On the chamber's display system, the builders are masters of large-scale construction. The makers excel at precision manufacturing. Combine your expertise and develop new energy sources that don't require the disputed mineral. The artificial beings exchanged rapid light patterns as they considered her proposal. Lisa continued, competition for limited resources is a dead end. Cooperation for unlimited innovation creates possibilities neither of you imagined alone. Slowly, the builder and maker representatives began discussing technical possibilities. Their light patterns shifted from angry reds and frustrated blues to curious greens and excited yellows. Lisa watched as 2 civilizations discovered they had more to gain through partnership than conflict. Vex observed the entire negotiation with intense focus. When the artificial beings agreed to begin joint research projects, the alien coordinator made extensive notes on his mysterious recording device. "Commander Hayes," Vex said as the test concluded, "you have demonstrated something unexpected. Most species attempt to choose winners and losers in resource disputes. You created a path where both civilizations could transcend their limitations." Jake and his crew reunited in the main conference room as the tests concluded. The strange chambers dissolved back into normal ship corridors, leaving no trace of their existence. The rescued crews from the missing ships remained visible proof that the aliens could retrieve humans when they chose to. "The evaluation is complete," Coordinator Vex announced. "Your responses have been recorded and analyzed. We must now determine humanity's fate based on your performance." Dr. Turner looked up from his scanner readings. "These tests weren't really about our answers, were they? You were measuring something else entirely." Analyst Krell's large eyes focused on the scientist. "Explain your reasoning, Doctor." "The neural monitoring equipment hidden throughout the test chambers. You weren't just observing our behavior. You were directly analyzing our thought processes, measuring brain patterns and emotional responses." Vex nodded slowly. "Correct. We require deeper understanding than simple behavioral observation could provide. The tests revealed how humans think, not just how they act." Jake felt a chill of realization. "You've done this before. The same tests. With other species." "Indeed, Captain Morrison. 437 civilizations have faced identical challenges. The tests are designed to identify specific mental patterns that indicate galactic readiness." Commander Hayes stepped forward. "And how did we do compared to the others?" Coordinator Vex was silent for. While they waited for the alien decision, Dr. Turner worked frantically at his science station. The neural monitoring equipment Krell had mentioned was still active throughout the ship. Turner discovered he could use the Horizon sensors to analyze the alien technology that surrounded them. "Captain, I'm finding some disturbing patterns in their data systems," Turner reported. "The Kethvar have detailed records on hundreds of civilizations, and the information doesn't match what they told us." Jake joined Turner at the science station. Commander Hayes and Lieutenant Collins gathered around as Turner displayed his findings. On the main screen, "Look at this species called the Veltar," Turner said, pointing to alien symbols that the computer translated into English. "According to Kethvar records, they developed interstellar travel 8,000 years ago. They were contained for preservation and are still alive today." "That sounds like what Vex told us," Hayes commented. Turner shook his head. "But look at the cultural analysis data. The Veltar today have no memory of their original civilization. They live simple lives in artificial environments, completely unaware that they once traveled between stars. The Kethvar didn't preserve their civilization. They destroyed it and kept the people as pets." More data appeared on the screen, showing other species that had been preserved. The pattern was always the same. Advanced civilizations were reduced to primitive societies living in controlled environments. Their technology, history, and cultural achievements were erased. "It gets worse," Turner continued. "The Kethvar maintain artificial families for these preserved species. The people think they have normal relationships and children, but it's all created by Kethvar technology. Nothing in their lives is real." Lieutenant Collins had been monitoring communications channels during Turner's research. "Captain, I'm picking up a transmission from the Guardian. Captain Walker is trying to contact us." The main screen shifted to show Beth Walker in what appeared to be a comfortable apartment. She looked healthy but troubled as she spoke quietly into a hidden communicator. "Jake, if you're receiving this, you need to know the truth about this place. We've been here for 8 months, and I'm starting to remember things that don't add up." Walker looked around carefully before continuing. "They gave us everything we needed. Houses, jobs, families. I have a husband and 2 children that I love. Completely. But sometimes I remember that I never had children before. My husband has memories of a life we never lived together. The transmission crackled with interference. The Kethver are inside our heads, Jake. They're changing our memories. And emotions. The crew that arrived with me are slowly forgetting who they were. Some of them don't even remember serving in the Colonial Navy anymore. Hayes grabbed Jake's arm. They're not preserving these people. They're erasing them. Turner's analysis confirmed their worst fears. The neural data I'm seeing shows massive manipulation of brain chemistry and memory patterns. The Kethver can rewrite human consciousness itself. Captain Walker's transmission continued. I've been fighting the memory changes, but it's getting harder. Sometimes I wake up and can't remember Earth. The artificial life they've given us feels more real than my actual past. Static filled the transmission before Walker's voice returned. Don't let them do this to humanity, Jake. Whatever they offer you, whatever tests they claim you passed, it's all designed to make containment seem acceptable. They've done this to hundreds of species. Don't let us be forgotten. The transmission ended abruptly. Jake stared at the blank screen, feeling anger and determination building inside him. The Kethver were not benevolent guardians. They were predators who destroyed civilizations, while convincing themselves they were providing a service. Captain, Turner said urgently, I'm detecting something else in their databanks. The Kethver have a history of their own expansion and conquest. They weren't always the guardians they claimed to be. New information appeared on the screen. The Kethvar had once been an aggressive species that conquered other civilizations through military force. But their expansion had led to wars that nearly destroyed galactic civilization. Their solution was to become the sole advanced species by preventing others from reaching their level of development. They're maintaining their position as the galaxy's dominant power, Hayes realized. Every species they preserve is one less. Potential rival. Jake studied the data carefully. The Kethver preserved other species, not out of benevolence, but out of fear. They remembered their own destructive past and projected it onto every civilization that reached the same level of development they had once achieved. Chief Engineer Ryan Clark's voice came through the comm system from engineering. Captain, I've been analyzing the energy patterns they're using to contain us. Their technology is incredible, but it has a weakness. Jake activated the internal communicator. Explain, Ryan. Their space-time manipulation works by creating interference patterns with normal physics. But human technology operates on different principles than the species they've encountered before. Our quantum resonance frequencies actually disrupt their containment fields. Turner looked up from his console with excitement. Ryan's right. Human engineering developed along different lines. Because we had to overcome unique challenges on Earth, our technology creates interference patterns that the Kethver systems can't compensate for. Jake felt hope returning. Can we use this to escape? Maybe, Clark replied. But we'd need to coordinate with other human ships. The effect only works if multiple vessels generate the interference pattern simultaneously. Lieutenant Parker had been monitoring communications from human space during their discussion. Captain, I'm receiving reports of Colonial Navy ships moving toward the perimeter. Admiral Solomon has dispatched a rescue fleet. Jake realized that time was running out. The Kethver would not allow more human ships to enter their territory. They would either destroy the approaching fleet or expand their containment to include all human colonies. How long until the rescue fleet arrives? Jake asked. 6 hours at maximum speed, Parker replied. Coordinator Vex materialized in the conference room without warning. His usual calm expression had been replaced by something that might have been concern. Captain Morrison, we have detected additional human vessels approaching the perimeter. This was not part of our agreement. Jake stood to face the alien. "We never agreed to abandon our people. The colonial navy doesn't leave anyone behind. The approaching ships pose a complication to our evaluation process," Vex continued. "We cannot allow them to enter this region without proper assessment." Hayes stepped forward aggressively. "You mean you can't allow them to discover what you really are? You're not preserving civilizations. You're destroying them." Vex's large eyes focused on Hayes with an intensity that made Jake uncomfortable. "Commander, you have been exposed to incomplete information. Our preservation protocols ensure the survival of species that cannot coexist with galactic civilization. Survival without freedom, memory, or identity," Turner interjected. "You turn intelligent beings into pets." For the first time, Vex showed emotion. His pale features darkened slightly, and his voice carried an edge of anger. "We prevent the chaos and destruction that young species inevitably create. Our methods are necessary for galactic stability." Jake saw through the alien's careful words. "Your methods are necessary for Kethver dominance. You can't tolerate potential rivals, so you destroy them while telling yourself it's for their own." "Good." Vex straightened to his full height. "Captain Morrison, humanity has failed its evaluation. The approaching fleet demonstrates your species' inability to accept guidance from superior civilizations. Preservation protocols will be implemented immediately." The alien began to activate a device that appeared in his hand. Jake realized this was their last chance to act before humanity joined the hundreds of other species trapped in Kethfor artificial environments. "Coordinator Vex," Jake said calmly, "you're making the same mistake your people made before they became galactic guardians." Vex paused with his device partially activated. "Explain." "You're assuming that conflict is inevitable between advanced species, but you never gave us the chance to prove you wrong. You're so afraid of repeating your own violent past that you destroy any species that might choose a different path." Jake stepped closer to the alien. "Humanity has fought wars, but we've also learned to cooperate. We've made mistakes, but we've grown from them. You're not protecting the galaxy from us. You're protecting yourself from having to change." Vex stared at Jake for a long moment before responding. "Your evaluation is complete, Captain. The decision cannot be altered." As Vex activated his containment device, Jake made a choice that would define humanity's future among the stars. Jake Morrison made a choice that went against every instinct for self-preservation. Instead of trying to stop Vex or escape the containment field, he activated the ship's emergency broadcast system. His message would reach every human colony beyond the perimeter and warn them about the Kethver threat. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Horizon." Jake spoke into the communicator as Vex's device hummed with growing energy. "We have encountered an alien species called the Kethver, who have been containing human ships and crews. They claim to preserve civilizations, but they actually destroy them. Do not trust their offers of safety or cooperation." Vex moved to stop him, but Commander Hayes blocked the alien's path. "Continue, Captain. Let them know the truth. The Kethver fear competition from advancing species." Jake continued his broadcast. "They have trapped over 400 civilizations in artificial environments where people live as prisoners without knowing they're imprisoned. They plan to do the same to humanity." Lieutenant Parker boosted the signal strength, ensuring Jake's words reached as far as possible into human space. Dr. Turner transmitted all the data they had gathered about Kethver technology and their history of containment. "But we've discovered something important," Jake continued. "Human technology creates interference patterns that disrupt their containment systems. Our quantum resonance frequencies work differently than other species they've encountered. We can fight back." Coordinator Vex finally activated his containment device. Energy fields surrounded the horizon, but instead of trapping them in an artificial environment, something unexpected happened. The ship's engines responded to the containment field by generating the quantum resonance patterns that Chief Engineer Clark had identified. "Captain," Clark's voice echoed through the ship, "the containment field is destabilizing. Our engines are creating feedback loops in their space-time manipulation system." The Kethver ships surrounding them began to experience power fluctuations. Their perfect formation broke apart as individual vessels struggled to maintain their technology in the presence of human quantum resonance. Dr. Turner watched his sensors with amazement. "The interference is spreading. Every human system on the ship is contributing to the effect. Our computers, life support, even our communication equipment operates on frequencies that disrupt their technology." Vex stared at his containment device as it failed to function properly. "This is impossible. No species has ever resisted our preservation protocols." Jake smiled grimly. "That's because no species developed technology like ours. Earth's unique electromagnetic environment forced us to solve problems differently than other worlds. Our solutions create chaos in your ordered systems." The rescue fleet from human space arrived exactly on schedule. 6 colonial Navy ships dropped out of hyperspace just as the Kethver containment system collapsed completely. Admiral Kate Sullivan's flagship, the USS Defiance, took point as the human vessels formed a protective formation around the horizon. "Jake," Kate's voice came through the communication system, "we received your broadcast. The entire colonial authority is mobilizing. Every human ship beyond the perimeter is converging on this location." Vex looked around the conference room with something approaching panic. This level of disruption will destabilize our entire galactic management system. Other preserved species may detect the interference patterns. "Good," Hayes said firmly. "Maybe it's time those preserved species remembered who they used to be." Jake realized that humanity had stumbled upon something the Kethver never expected. Their technology wasn't just resistant to alien containment. It was actively liberating the systems that had trapped other civilizations for thousands of years. "Coordinator Vex," Jake said, "you have a choice to make. You can try to fight us and risk losing control over every species you've preserved, or you can work with us to find a better solution." Vex's pale features showed the strain of making a decision that would affect galactic civilization. What solution could possibly satisfy both our species? Jake had been thinking about this moment since the tests began. Release the preserved species, all of them. Let them choose their own futures. Help them rebuild their civilizations if they want to. Become actual guardians instead of jailers. "The chaos would be enormous," Analyst Krell protested. "Hundreds of species suddenly free to resume expansion and development. Wars would be inevitable." Dr. Turner stepped forward. "Maybe, but maybe not. Humanity has learned to cooperate with different cultures and governments. We could help mediate between species as they rediscover their independence." Jake continued the proposal. "The Kethver have millions of years of experience managing galactic affairs. Humanity has experience adapting to change and solving new problems. Together, we might create something better than either species could achieve alone." Vex was silent for several minutes as he considered the proposal. Around them, more human ships continued to arrive at the perimeter. The quantum resonance effect was growing stronger as additional vessels added their frequencies to the interference pattern. "Captain Morrison," Vex said finally, "you are proposing the dissolution of a system that has maintained galactic stability for over 1,000,000 years. I'm proposing evolution," Jake replied. "Your system worked when the galaxy was young and species were isolated. But civilizations grow and change. The galaxy needs to grow and change with them." Captain Walker's voice suddenly crackled through the communication system. "Jake, something's happening here. The artificial environment is flickering." "I can see." the real structures underneath the illusion. Similar reports came from other preserved species throughout HFY space. The quantum resonance generated by human technology was disrupting containment systems across thousands of light years. Civilizations that had been trapped for millennia were beginning to remember their true histories. Vex looked at his failing equipment with a mixture of fear and wonder. The preservation system is collapsing throughout our territory. We cannot contain the effect. Then don't try, Jake suggested. Help us manage the transition. Use your knowledge and experience to guide species as they regain their freedom. Become partners instead of rulers. The HFY coordinator made a decision that would reshape galactic civilization. Very well, Captain Morrison. We will attempt your proposal. But if chaos results from this change, humanity will bear responsibility for the consequences. Jake nodded solemnly. We accept that responsibility. It's what free species do. Over the following months, the galaxy experienced the most significant transformation in its recorded history. Hundreds of preserved species awakened to find their true histories restored. Some chose to remain in their artificial environments, content with the lives the HFY had provided. Others immediately began rebuilding their original civilizations. Conflicts did arise as species reclaimed territories they had occupied before preservation. But humanity's diplomatic corps, supported by HFY historical knowledge, helped mediate disputes and establish new cooperation agreements. The HFY themselves struggled to adapt to their new role as guides rather than controllers. Many found the transition difficult after millions of years of absolute authority. But others, like Coordinator Vex, discovered that partnership offered rewards that dominance never could. Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon 6 months. After first crossing the perimeter, the ship was returning to Earth with a delegation of newly freed species who wanted to establish formal relations with humanity. Dr. Turner had spent the months studying cooperative technologies developed by former preserved species. Human quantum resonance had proven compatible with dozens of different technological approaches, creating possibilities for advancement that no single species could achieve alone. Commander Hayes commanded her own ship now, leading joint exploration. Missions into regions of space that had been forbidden during HFY containment. The universe had become larger and more exciting than anyone had imagined. Captain, Lieutenant Parker reported, we're receiving a message from the Veltar delegation on Deck 7. They want to know if we'll attend their civilization's rebirth ceremony next month. Jake smiled as he remembered the species Dr. Turner had first discovered in the HFY records. The Veltar had chosen to rebuild their interstellar civilization using a combination of their original technology and human innovations. Their ceremony would mark the first new starship they had built in 8,000 years. Tell them we'll be honored to attend, Jake replied. The view screen showed Earth growing larger as they approached humanity's home system. But Jake knew that Earth was no longer the edge of human space. The galaxy itself had become humanity's neighborhood, shared with hundreds of species who are rediscovering the joy of exploration and growth. The perimeter still existed on navigation charts, but it no longer marked a boundary. It had become a symbol of the moment when humanity chose to break barriers instead of accepting them. Beyond that point lay not danger or containment, but infinite possibilities for civilizations willing to work together. Jake thought about the choice he had made in the conference room with Coordinator Vex. He could have tried to save just his crew, or just his ship, or just his species. Instead, he had chosen to save the principle of freedom itself. That choice had given the galaxy a future war